as most people who have been on the channel for a little bit now are aware, I have been highly obsessed with the Roblox game Pressure for quite a while now, and really this goes for just the rooms and doors style game in general. I really love how much potential it has for like creating a really sort of immersive exploration type of game. And ever since really playing Pressure for the first time and really getting into it, I've always wanted to make my own rooms and doors style game, and I actually was going to do that in Roblox. I had a game that I started working on in Roblox Studio that I actually got pretty far with. I had the room generation all set up, I had working enemies, or one working enemy that actually properly spawned on like the timer and everything, but unfortunately that died not long after I got all that finished, just because I found that actual game creation in like an actual sort of game development program and stuff like that just wasn't for me. I did not enjoy it. I did not find it fun. However, something I do find fun is making Geometry Dash levels, and obviously over a year ago now, about a year and a half ago now really, which is insane, Geometry Dash got Update 2.2, which added all kinds of crazy triggers and stuff to the game. And so a little while ago I kind of thought to myself, like after that Roblox game died, I kind of thought to myself, why don't I try doing that in Geometry Dash? Considering most of these rooms and door style games really are just kind of walking simulators, it shouldn't be too hard with the platformer mode, right? And I would say I was wrong about that, but I mean, probably not really. I'm just not good with triggers and stuff like that. I'm not good with that at all. The most complicated thing I've ever made in the game before this was that funny robot in the background of Wasteland, and that was primarily just a whole bunch of rotation triggers. But yeah, so I'm making my own rooms and doors style game that's very heavily based on Pressure, that sort of takes place in space and whatnot, and I'm not going to explain too much about like the theme of the game and the story of the game or anything like that right now, because I don't think anyone cares. Everyone's just here to see what I've made so far and just see what it looks like. So I will now cut to in-game me really poorly showing off this game. Alright, this will be interesting. I'm not sure if I mentioned this in the intro at all, but I don't think much actual progress is going to be made on the level in this video. Most of this video is just going to be explaining things I've already done. So as you can see, I haven't organized anything like at all. The most organized thing is probably working on like all the props and stuff. I also don't know how to show this stuff off without just completely spoiling everything. So yeah, I guess I'm only really showing the basic stuff right now. Also, I need to move this zoom because there's actually a visual bug that you'll kind of see a little bit, like literally right from the start of this, which is not good. Yeah, so the game is called Dread. I don't really know why, honestly. That's just all I could think of at the moment, and I'm not changing it at this point. And yeah, so I think the way I'm gonna do this is I'm just going to play through what I have. You won't see these rooms at all because I don't have the randomizations for... Actually, no, you'll see this first room. You won't see this middle room at all, or any of the rooms after, purely because I don't have the randomization for this room set at all yet. I only have the randomizations for this first room because there's only 3 possible rooms for this first one. And on top of that, you won't really see any of the props or anything in the game aside from in this main area, because again, all the props and stuff are also going to be randomized in here. I will move this up though, so I can show off one of the jump scares I made, since again, I think I probably mentioned this in the intro. I have like all of the basic stuff done. So like basically just the setup for, yeah, like I said, all of like the basic stuff, all of like the most important functions in the game and stuff like that. So I have one singular working enemy, which you obviously see by this room, and I have like the menu screen and a little bit of like the document screen. I can't English. And I think the only like kind of extra thing I did so far is like the random text at the start that you see in Pressure. I made my own version of that. So I'll just play through it up until the jump scare here when you get attacked, because I don't have any hiding spots available yet. And then I'll try my best to explain some stuff and just the general concept of this game. So obviously there's a warning because this is sort of a horror game. I don't even know if this classifies entirely. So obviously here we have the main menu. Everything is sound effects and stuff. Yeah, so info obviously takes you to the documents screen. This just kills you because I thought it'd be funny. And then the play obviously takes you into the level. Yeah, so I have pretty much all of like the decorative stuff for this first area done, really. I'm still gonna add some extra prop stuff in here yet, and there's like some music that plays while you're in here that will then turn off the moment you open the first door, as you'll hear here in a second. And there you saw the text, and I do have some like looping background ambiance and stuff that plays on sort of rare occasions, and on even rarer occasions there is like a little bit of like music stuff, again very inspired by Pressure, because Pressure has sort of the same thing where there's a lot of random background sounds, and very like occasionally you'll sometimes get background music that plays for like a little bit before going completely silent again. I have this up here because these are like the two things you're supposed to collect along the way. There's like little things, I just call them entities because I feel like that's what all of these games call them. So data and files, just like in Pressure. There's some of the ambiance. Data and files, just like in Pressure, is going to be like sort of a currency for while you're in the game, kind of like, so once again, like in Pressure, you get data and files and stuff, and then when you reach the shop towards the middle of the run, when you meet Sebastian and all that, you use data and files to buy some of the items from him. I'm gonna have something similar in this. However, I'm stupid and don't really know how to make objects and don't really want to try and make an inventory system, so I'm gonna make it work a little bit differently. And then entities, there's like smaller, like safe entities, I guess, that you collect along the way, and that's basically just the point system that determines how many points you get by the end of this game. There's more ambiance. And there's another thing you'll see at the end. I do have a way of tracking what door you're on, which I'll show off in the editor later. I'm just going to get to the third room so I can show the jump scare. And again, as you can see here, this room doesn't have a room because I haven't set up the randomization for this yet. And now I'll show kind of how the enemies work. Oh, and here's how I track the door. So here you'll see the first enemy as well as the jump scare. And before the jump scare plays, there is no sound in the jump scare yet because I just haven't done it yet. The jump scare was the last thing I did before I started working on recording this video and stuff. So there will not be any sound with the jump scare, but there will be sound with the enemy approaching. And there will be a couple weird visual things after and during the jump scare, just because I don't have a way of toggling off all of the game functions yet while the jump scare plays and you move on to like the death screen and stuff. So there is some weird stuff with that yet, but that'll all be fixed by the time this is done. Yeah, so obviously there was a sound there, but that's just the sound that plays when the entity is coming, and I'm gonna change that sound a little bit because it's awful. But obviously here we have the death screen, and as you can hear, like the ambiance is still playing. The data and files and entities thing is still here, even though I also have it here. And then you can also see I have how many doors you opened. And then I'm also gonna try and see if I can figure out how to make it so that a different screen appears based on what kills you, so then you'll have like images of it and a little bit of info about it on this side of the screen. Again, very much inspired by Pressure, because that's really the game this game is primarily inspired by, is Pressure. And then obviously if you press player 1 jump, it kills you and restarts the game. I'm probably gonna change that and put a checkpoint in the here, I'll go into it again. I'm probably gonna put a checkpoint in this area here, so that instead of going all the way back to the menu screen, you come back here so you can restart runs a bit quicker. So I'm gonna explain a little bit about this game before I get into it, because I doubt I explained it in the intro. There will be 35 total rooms. Again, this is going to be set up very much like Pressure, so you reach the objective and then there's another set of rooms after that that are like, it's almost sort of like the finale. It's the hardest part of the run and generally the most stressful part of the run. I'm gonna try and emulate something similar here. So as you can see, every room equals threat. That's going to be kind of the gimmick for these rooms. Kind of like how in Pressure, suddenly you don't have any indication for when they're coming. You can only hear them coming because like all the lights and stuff are off because all the power is out and whatnot. Again, the gimmick for this one is every room will be a threat room where some kind of enemy can spawn, and I think I might make it so that some of the visual indications are reduced but not completely gone, just because as you saw with the jump scare I did have, it did come very quick after the audio indicators and stuff. Like, it was pretty much in the room right as the audio really started, so having the visual indicators completely gone is not really a good idea, probably. Now, I also might change this slightly, because I feel like if every room is a threat, it's a bit too predictable. I might change it so that it's like every room has a like significantly higher chance of being a threat. So it's still a little random which room will have a threat, but it'll just be like most rooms will have a threat in it. Yeah, so obviously here's the enemy that I made. I didn't really bother too much with actually making it look good. I was getting really bothered by this part of it for obvious reasons, but eventually I just gave up because I'm like, you only really see it shoot past you like very briefly, so there's no point in putting that much time into it, really. There's also a second enemy I have here, but I'm not going to show that off yet because it's not done, and I don't want to spoil literally everything. Now, the way the menu screens and stuff work is a little bit odd, and probably not at all the best way to do that. I did it with these toggle orbs, so obviously, when player 1, if you press these, it moves them over, and then the last one, it switches it all the way back to like the start. So you can kind of see it here. Each time you press it, it moves it 2 over, but then by the time you get to the last one, it moves it back 4 blocks, because that's how many it's moved by the time the last one gets there. And then player 2 obviously also has toggle orbs, and that's what takes you to each of the different things. Same setup for the documents, just a little bit more intricate because there's more actual tabs. This one only has like just the one tab that it switches to, and even then it teleports away completely. This one doesn't teleport away at all. The ambiance stuff is just a bunch of random triggers, really, and same with like the text that I was talking about that's up here on a UI layer. And as you saw, the way I was like detecting what door you're on is with these collectible coins, and then to make the particle go away, I just have a particle trigger with nothing in it on a group, and then this coin has that group as the particle. So that's how I got rid of the particle from that, because even if you have these coins on B5 all the way on the back, the particles still show up on top, and it's really frustrating and annoying. I'm not going to go over like room randomization or anything like that, because again, I only have the first room being randomized, and really it's just one random trigger. Like, a lot of this stuff has been made really easy because 2.2 is insane. The jump scare, the way I'm going about doing jump scares is just there'll be a room that can randomly be selected that will have like the stuff for the jump scare in it. That's probably not the best way of doing it. I probably could have set up like a timer or something, kind of like what Pressure has. Pressure has a timer that has to run out before an enemy can spawn again, but I decided to just set it up by like a room will have a spawn trigger in it that spawns the enemy. So in short, that does mean it's very possible to get an entire run with 0 enemies, but honestly I think that's kind of funny. Like, I kind of want to keep that possibility just because I think it's funny. There is a lot of probably pretty dumb stuff I'm putting in this game purely just because it's funny. The way this works is, again, just mostly a bunch of spawn triggers. So this is like moving with the player at all times, and then there's a spawn trigger in here that like starts off that little effect that played just to kind of indicate that something's coming. I'm gonna turn off my link controls here for a moment so I can actually select this. And then it waits for a moment before it actually starts the movement of the enemy going through the room. And since it's moving with the player at all times, you can't just like go a few rooms ahead to try and outrun it. It's not possible to outrun it because it's, again, moving with the player. So yeah, really, it's just a lot of spawn triggers. Again, probably not the best way to do this, but I'm not exactly very experienced in more complicated trigger work, and I don't really want to like look up tutorials and stuff. I'm really stubborn about this. I don't want to look up like tutorials and stuff for some of these triggers because I want to figure out completely on my own and do everything completely on my own. I don't really want outside help. So even if it is like done the complete wrong way, if it works, it works. Yeah, anyways, so now for the actual jump scare, as you saw, there is a spawn trigger at the very front of the enemy, and if that spawn trigger is triggered, it teleports you down to the death platform down here so that your movement and stuff is stopped, but you can still control it for the toggle trigger, which then restarts the game. And this is the actual jump scare function down here. So obviously there's the pulses for the flashing screen in the background, and it toggles on another screen that does move with the player as well. I actually have Over here you can see it's on layer 25, and I believe if I set this trigger to touch trigger temporarily, you'll see the screen for the jump scare that you saw earlier. It's kind of weird looking, but I'm not very good at art in Geometry Dash, so then after that it just moves on to the screen that I showed at the end, which I think I can also bring up here. Yeah, so this also is moving with the player at all times. I probably could just put it on the death platform, but I don't want to. And then to get the jump to restart, obviously there is a toggle trigger here, and so after like the animation plays and that screen pops up, the toggle trigger is activated, so you can then just press the jump key, which then spawns obviously a spike that kills you and restarts the game. Again, might put a checkpoint in this room just so that you don't have to go all the way back to the menu screen. The only reason I'm kind of hesitant of doing that is because of the document system in the menu screen, but at the same time, if you want to access that, you could just leave the level to get back to that. So I feel like it would just be better to have a checkpoint in here, so I'll work on that eventually. Yeah, so that's really all the important stuff explained, I guess. I didn't explain it in a ton of detail, obviously, just because there is a lot here, and most of it is pretty boring stuff. Again, this is probably a pretty garbage video, but I don't really know how to format me actually building this stuff into a video. I will probably stream this if I can get myself to, if there's enough interest in the level or in this game, and also if someone who's way more experienced than me at this wants to do the same idea and completely overshadow me, please go ahead, because as much as I would like to be the first to complete this idea and get it uploaded, if someone else does it way better than me, good, because I have no fucking clue what I'm doing. The fact that I've gotten this far is kind of insane, to me anyways. Really, this is nothing technically special, but I personally am happy with it. I'm sure some of you have also noticed this funny little fish over here under the collectible entities thing. This guy will have a cool little gimmick to him that I'm not going to explain right now. I don't know when exactly this level will be done, because as much as I have like all of like or most of like the complicated stuff done, there's so much I want to put into this level that I won't be surprised if this takes me like a year or more from now to actually finish, because I have been pretty slow with this. All of this as is has taken a couple months for me, because again, I've been very slow with working on this, but I only have 2 of the enemy designs actually built, and if I remember correctly, I think I have 5 or 6 total enemies I want to put in here, and there's all kinds of like references to Geometry Dash stuff I want to put in this level, kind of like Pressure has all kinds of references to Roblox and stuff like that. This level could probably end up with over 100 different rooms possibilities. It's going to be a big project, but I'm excited to keep working on it. I do have a lot of inspiration for it right now just because of how well I feel like it's gone so far, and hopefully there's interest from enough other people with this or in this project. So yeah, that's really all I wanted to do for this video. Again, I'm sorry that there's no actual progress being made in this. This more so is just like, hey, look what I'm doing. Again, I will try to stream this, so if you're interested in that and can tolerate the other weird content I put on my channel, I guess feel free to subscribe to that. I don't like asking for subscribers. I don't like doing that. Anyways, I just need to stop the video. This is getting really awkward now. Damn.